Good morning, Miss Melinda Emerson. You're also known by the brand name of a small biz lady, and in America, you are the expert, in small and medium-sized enterprises, which is known as SME, and you also mentor a lot of give consultation guidance to small businesses in America. Ma'am, you come to Cambodia, and this is your first time in Cambodia also. Invited by the government of the US to Cambodia. And before you come to Siem Reap, you also make some, let's say, seminar or training in Phnom Penh, and also some seminar or training in Siem Reap before coming here to this interview, ma'am. So my first question is that, what do you offer to the Cambodian listener, on your expertise during the seminar, ma'am?
Well, what I've been training about is how to sell and market online. And specifically, we've been talking about using websites and email and content and SEO. I also did a more in-depth training on the 12 P's of running a successful business. And that is really a capacity building training for existing entrepreneurs so they don't feel so overwhelmed by their business.
What do you mean overwhelmed by their business? For example, like their first time doing so and then they feel quite nervous about what they are doing?
No, it's just once you run a business, you have 10 to 12 jobs you have to do all at one time. And it can be overwhelming. And especially for women entrepreneurs, because women, we're got 3 full-time jobs. So my wife, mother, business owner, we got a lot going on. So sometimes people need support and they need to know about better ways to do things to save time. And that's what I teach in my 12 P's of running a successful business training, which is the training that I've done for the CIWA, the Cambodian Women's Entrepreneur Association.
Yes, ma'am.
So I did that training for their members.
So also in Phnom Penh, you focus on social media, just like you said, how to create good content, how to create good website. But, in the West, or, maybe in Europe, something like that, I think, the website and content, I think they are very well known already, it's like part of the daily life because, digital life is a very big thing over there. But how do you see the digital life in Cambodia? And especially not Phnom Penh, in rural provinces like Cambodia?
Well, one of the things that I've discovered since I've been here is that Cambodian business people rarely use websites. Everyone seems to engage and do commerce on Facebook. But one of the big things that I've been teaching my students since I've been here is that it's very challenging to build a house on rented land. And that's what it is when you build your whole business on Facebook. Everyone should have a website. They can still do business on Facebook, but they need to have a website. And the reason why that is so important here in Cambodia is because tourism is one of the #1 industries in this country. And if I'm a tourist and I'm coming from outside of the United States, I'm going to do a Google search and I'm going to say, best things to do in Siem Reap, best things to do in Phnom Penh.
Not too much of a Facebook search, no.
No, you wouldn't do a Facebook search. And perfect example is I actually did that before I came here. Best things to do in Siem Reap. And a tour company came up with a beautiful article, 43 things to do in Siem Reap. And they were able to promote their services through the content that they share. And so what I demonstrated for my students was that building your whole business on Facebook is dangerous because it's rented land. You don't have a customer list. You don't have a way to keep in touch with people over time. And most often, the first time someone sees your offer, they're not likely to buy. So how can you nurture that relationship? With email. And I know email is also not popular here.
Even though it's still old, but it's still, the way to go.
It is. 87% of marketers use email. So in order for your business to level up and get to the point where you can get business from anywhere, not just in Cambodia with the, 50 people that like your Facebook page, you need to make sure that you can be found in Google searches And the way to do that is with a website.
So what you train them in Phnom Penh is more of a, not just only to survive on the social media like Facebook, but to survive on your own land. That's what you mean.
Yes, because if you build your own website, you can track where your traffic comes from. If you build an email list, you can always sell to your email list over and over again. If you're just selling clothes on Facebook and someone's just giving you their phone number, you don't have a way to track and nurture the relationship and build your brand and build trust over time. They're just going to buy that and walk away. And that's not what you want. You want repeat business. You want people to do business with you over and over again.
Yes, ma'am. But just to clarify a bit, because, the majority of Cambodian people are still on Facebook.
I know.
So they still need to advertise a bit on Facebook, but at the same time, to reach the international audiences, they need to do more than just Facebook.
Absolutely. And definitely you can do Facebook ads, right? And I would definitely say if you're just getting started with online advertising, Facebook ads is a really good place to start. And you can test for a very low amount of money. But I always say test before you invest. You want to make sure that you know exactly the audience you want to track and that you have multiple ads to test with. Most people should test with at least 5 ads, and they should test for maybe about a week. And then once the test is over, then you focus on the 2 ads that perform the best, and that's where push the rest of your budget.
So it's still, quite technical, and
it is, and it's an easy way to lose a bunch of money if you don't know what you're doing. So that's why I always say test before you invest. So test with just a little bit of money to see if people are even interested in what you're saying, what you're trying to offer.
Yes, ma'am. So in Cambodia, SME is considered the backbone, one of the backbone of the economy, and
that's actually true around the world.
Around the world,
yes.
The backbone of the economy.
Yeah. In the United States, small businesses are responsible for 70 to 80% of the employment in the country. So that's true everywhere.
Everywhere around the world. Yes, ma'am. So in Cambodia, do you, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, do you see that the SME in Cambodia is, let's say, on a better track, to development, let's say, and in Cambodia, based on your expert view, SME is on the road to be, let's say, managed structurally, or they are still, managed like family-like, because Asian people, they come as a family, they sell as a family, the uncles, the aunties, the son, the daughters. So is it still family-like, or it comes as a structure,
Well, I don't think whether it's a family business or a solo business, just one person, I think that it doesn't even matter. It's really about how sophisticated the business is run. How structured are the marketing systems, are the financial pricing systems, are the offerings, how are you making sure that you're staying on top of industry trends and customer behaviors, right? You've got to make sure that whether you're a family business or a solo business, you have to know who your customer is and what their challenges are so that you can position yourself as the best solution for them. A lot of times people get into trouble because they want to sell to everybody. Well, if you're trying to sell to everybody, you're selling to nobody. You want to specifically serve a very small market. We call that niche marketing.
Niche marketing.
And you want to do that because most small business owners, let me scratch that. All small business owners have the same 2 problems: limited time and limited resources. So you need to pick a marketing target that you can hit with your limited resources.
Can you give some small example of, not small, but brief example of what the niche in America is, let's say, from your...
Well, let's just say my niche in America is I really focus on women entrepreneurs. And I work with women entrepreneurs who are professionals, they are educated, they have some success, but they're tired of working for the man. They're tired of working for corporations and they want to strike out on their own. So my book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, is a 1-year plan to leave your corporate job to start a business. And that's who I specialize in serving. People who are in corporate, they're a little bit successful, but they know that they could be a lot more successful if they work for themselves. And I give those people a plan so they don't have to be afraid. A lot of people stay in jobs that they hate out of fear because they're worried about how they'll take care of their families, or they're worried about how they'll take care of health insurance. And these things are very expensive. But if you have a plan, you don't have to be afraid. You can just work your plan.
Yes, ma'am. Back to the social media, visibility, especially in, let's say, not Phnom Penh, because Phnom Penh, I think, the majority of the people knows how to, utilize the social media well, but, in case of Cambodia only. But, in, for example, other provinces, Siem Reap, or maybe to the northern side, Battambang, or maybe to the southern side, Kampot, I think there are so many more places that should be, out there online, But instead, only Cambodian people know it, because they know it from hearing from their neighbors say it, their relatives say it. So I know that it is hard to push people to go online, especially for, let's say older business people. They don't want to do it. So, how to let them, let's say, or maybe, how to let them tell their younger generation, to be more visible online, let's say?
Well, I think it starts with education.
Okay.
All the wonderful business associations need to start talking about this. People need to make it a norm. I mean, the one good thing that I think the pandemic did for all of us is it forced everybody online. It forced everything online because you couldn't go out, you couldn't leave your home. So has been a lot of advances in people utilizing online services and resources, but we have to make it a social norm. So I think that sometimes there are things that catch on fast and there are things that catch on slow. But if we keep saying it, and if the business leaders keep talking about it, and if the government gets behind it, everyone will eventually know that this is how you do business, or this is how you promote yourself online. And it's very important.
Yes, ma'am. But let's say a few days ago, I talked to a marketing guy also. He's an American. He said that, just getting yourself online doesn't mean that people is going to see you, because now everyone is online.
That's true.
So you said, you mentioned content creation should be, pinpoint or something.
Absolutely. So let me explain to you. When it comes to successful online marketing, there's 4 things that you have to do. Number 1, you have to have a website. Number 2, you have to have a content strategy. Number 3, you have to use social media. And use social media to build brand awareness. And you could also use social media to produce direct sales. But then you also have to have email, because email is how you build relationships over time. Because online, it takes a minimum of 7 interactions, as many as 30 interactions, before people feel like they trust you enough to give you their credit card, to give you their money.
Interaction like messaging,
reaction, content, seeing you online, going to your website, learning more about you, reading testimonials about happy customers that like you, you really, because think about it, when you sell online to someone, they can't taste, they can't smell, they can't try on the jacket.
They cannot.
No,
they cannot believe if the image is AI or not.
Right. So you gotta come at them multiple times so they believe that you are real. And so you gotta put in the work. One of the things that I tell people all the time is that you can build it, but if you're not promoting it, nobody will know. And then when you're dealing with Facebook, you definitely have to buy ads on Facebook, because they will limit you from having access to the people who like you.
Yep. But, let's say advertisement on Facebook in America is not as popular as before. Maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't really know.
I think that Facebook is losing it's losing users, but it's still the biggest. It's still the biggest. And I would say Instagram is number 2 behind Facebook.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, number 3 is YouTube.
Yeah, a lot of ads are on YouTube.
Yeah,
right?
a lot of, so and YouTube is the second most searched site on the internet.
Yes, ma'am.
And TikTok is growing very fast, but as I've been teaching my students this week, TikTok is about to be banned in the United States. So if you build your whole business on TikTok, what are you going to do? Because the largest market in the world is about to ban TikTok.
You're putting all the eggs in one basket.
Right. This is exactly why I'm telling people that Facebook is dangerous for the same reason. Because Facebook could get banned. I mean, there's lawsuits in America right now. Facebook could get in trouble. Facebook could get banned. So that's why it's important for you to have your own real estate that you own online, which is your website.
Yes, ma'am. Again, to the case of Cambodia, but I don't think it is only in Cambodia. I think it's global also. Especially when young people, they learn business and they want to become, their own young entrepreneur. And, at the same time, let's say their parents are also entrepreneur, but they do it based on their own experience, trial and error. But younger people, they learn through the textbook, and then they said, oh, I can do it. So, from your expert view, again, how do you, let's say, balance between, the knowledge that you only learn on textbook, and then, compare that to the knowledge that you learn in real life, because sometimes, the parents who do business and the younger boy or girls who also wants to do business, they go into debate often, they said, oh, mom, you don't know that, I learned that. And then the mom and the dad said, no, you don't know that, you just learn it through textbook. There's a saying, they say that, I eat salt more than you eat rice. in Khmer, So
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing that you have to do in order to be successful in business, you have to be a lifelong learner. I've been in business for 25 years and I have grown and changed, and now I have an online school and a membership site for women entrepreneurs, Small Biz Lady Academy. I didn't have those things even 3 years ago. So I have evolved myself. When I was in my 18th year in business, I went to graduate school and got an MBA because I wanted to have that knowledge and that learning. So, and I'm constantly reading books and listening to podcasts and going to conferences to learn. So you can't just go by what you learned in school, because business is always changing. Industry is changing. Customer behavior changes, right? I mean, 5 years ago, they never would have had as much online transactions as they do even in America, were it not for the pandemic. Now everybody shops online. Everybody uses online banking, right?
Yep.
So these are things that 5 years ago.
So the textbook cannot change that fast, of course.
No, the textbook can't change that fast. Textbooks are usually 5 years behind industry. So you have to constantly sharpen your own knife. You have to constantly be looking at the latest industry trends and experts, like people like me. I teach everything that I learn. I write blog posts about everything that I learn. So I have written over 5,000 articles about how to start and grow a successful business. And every time I learn something, I write it down. I share.
Yes, ma'am. But I don't say that it is a big issue, but still, something that is still concerning for some entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, is that when they try to make something, because, it's about the, when you make it, how do you call it? Like a production of scale, the less you make, the more expensive it becomes when you sell it. So, let's say about 5 to 6 years ago, there were many family mart, like the small mart owned by family members. And then, they run quite well for 1 or 2 years, 3 years. And then the big, mart, supermarket, they also make their own branches. They sell franchise. They just, become, let's say, more efficient.
Yeah.
And then the small business went down. So how do you manage that,
I mean, that's hard, and that happens everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, in America, we've seen a lot of that. Big box retailers come in, and the little small businesses, get pushed out. But what I will say is that when you build a loyal following, when you build customers that in the community where you are that value what you offer, you can survive even when a big business comes. But you have to be very intentional about building your customer base and about becoming ingrained as a part of the community. And when you do that, you can survive. People will prefer to come to a family-owned restaurant versus a big chain, right? Because there's value in that. They know all the ingredients is fresh, like things like that. So I think that you just have to be intentional about being a part of the community and having people know how much you appreciate their business. And then sometimes when new things come, everybody wants to go try new, but they have to remember who was always here with them.
Yes, responding to your answer, there's a bakery in Siem Reap. I think they are not on Facebook. They are not on any social media. They don't even have a logo, but everyone in Siem Reap knows it.
Exactly.
But they have been running for I think more than decades. But they are very committed to their.
Sure. Now we could help them. We could get them a logo. We could get them a website.
Yeah. I hope they can do it. Yeah. But at the same time, ma'am, because in Phnom Penh, in Siem Reap, some businesses they open very quickly and then they boom. Many customers. But let's say sometimes I also feel quite confusing. They open and then they get a lot of customers, and then after 1 year they just close down immediately. So, but that is just one example, of course. But from your perspective, what are some of the common failures that happen to SME?
Well, one of the biggest causes of business failure, I think, is just lack of planning. People leap and then look, and like you have to plan for success. It's not going to just happen to you. The second biggest mistake, I think, is people don't focus on a specific customer. They think everybody can use our bakery. No, you have to focus on a specific customer that you serve.
Even though everyone eats bread.
Everybody eats bread, but
they still
everybody's not willing to pay a premium price for their bread. So who are the people that want this special bread and are willing to pay a little bit more for it, right? That's not everybody. That's a specific group of people, right? And usually, since moms do a lot of the cooking, it's a specific woman that is the customer for that bakery, right?
I see, ma'am.
Now, the third reason why small businesses fail is because of lack of financial discipline. You must operate with a budget. And usually, if you don't manage your personal finances with a budget, you're not going to manage your business with a budget. And that's a problem because you have to track your expenses very carefully, especially in the first 2 to 3 years of a business, because you're still trying to make it. It takes typically 18 to 24 months for a small business to break even. And so
2 years.
2 years. Yeah. So you have to really watch your budget and make sure that you know how you're going to turn that cost into revenue, right? You can turn this cost into revenue. And if you can't figure out how to do that, it's a no. Don't buy it.
Yes, ma'am. But another thing, that I noticed also is that, the fact of, let's say not young, not young in terms of teenagers, but, young adult who wants to do the joint venture business. And, sometimes they may not be, let's say very mature enough, in terms of, like you said, financial maturity, compromises. And, when they join as a venture together, they have different, path ideas, especially when they gain something, they will have, different ideas on where to direct the group, So is that also one of the problems?
Well, I think that the one thing you have to do as a business owner, especially a young business owner, is be coachable, be flexible, and recognize that there are people out here that have forgotten more than you know. So pay attention to people who have been in business a long time. What I say is that often in America, if you make it past 5 years in business, you are very special, because 90% of small businesses in America go out of business within 5 years.
Within 5 years.
Yeah, so if you make it past 5 years, you know something about what you're doing, right? So when a really young, really energetic young entrepreneur wants to start, that's great. You need high energy and excitement, but you also need to be humble and listen to a more senior business owner to give you advice, because there's a lot of ways to lose money in business. And if you're not careful, you're going to find out all of them.
But how many businesses, let's say normally does a person fail in order, to run a good? I know the number, it does not reflect,
listen, I don't even believe in failure. I don't.
Okay.
I think that in business, you either win or you learn. No failure. It's just some lessons get to be more expensive than others. Right?
Yeah, but that's the cost.
Right. Yeah. You pay to learn.
I see. So maybe also the last question of this interview. I read the preview of your book, before coming here, and you dissect the topic in the monthly order, ranging from what you do on the 12th month, what you do on the 11th month, the first month, right before the opening. Can you tell me briefly about, not each month, but, the main part of the dissection?
Sure.
And also, for those who read this, like you said, you try to help people from the corporate world to their own world, if I may put it like that. So is it, the book is only good for people who understand business a little bit already?
No. My book is for anybody with an idea.
With an idea.
Who wants to go into business. But if you have education, and it could be education in anything. You could be a teacher, a lawyer, an engineer. It does not matter. Like, you don't have to be a business expert to understand my book. That's actually part of the reason why I wrote it, because it's very simple and straightforward. So I can teach anyone how to start a business. But, it helps if you are educated, but you don't have to be. Yeah. There's plenty of people who are artisans and contractor, electrician, auto mechanic who've read my book and sent me an email. I read this book and it changed my life. Now I have the courage to start my business from all over the world. So no, I don't think it's just limited to people.
So many people run their business well after they read your book. You get a lot of feedback from them.
I think so. My book has been in print for 14 years.
14 years, yeah.
So I think it's helped a lot of people over the years.
Only in America, or you also get messages from around the world?
Around the world. My book was released in multiple languages around the world. Okay. We've sold over 100,000 copies. So yeah, I get letters from all over the world.
Over the world.
Yeah. Well, the thing about business is exciting. People want to start businesses. And oftentimes people don't know how hard it is. They don't know that most businesses don't make it 5 years. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't try. I will also say that the number one reason why people go out of business is because they run out of money. So usually cash flow is the reason why people have to go out of business. They don't have money to continue.
So business is an expensive project.
Oh,
sometimes.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes, ma'am. So, in Cambodia, let's say, the subject of business in school, I don't say that it take off recently, but it is, still, as an academic subject. not too far ago, because the people before they do business from their own practical know-how. So when you look at young, let's say, young people who are about to be the entrepreneur, or they are already a newly, a new entrepreneur, how do you see their let's say human resource, their capacity, let's say their English language or sometimes their understanding to the global market? Do you see something particular about them in Cambodia?
Well, I think that the great thing about entrepreneurship is if you build a better mousetrap, the world will be the path to your door, no matter where your door is. So what I love about business now is that, yes, it helps to know English. It helps to know marketing and accounting too. But a lot of times you learn that as you go. But what I know is that the world is still waiting on great ideas. And so if you are young and you have a great idea and you figure out how to get it out there, it could change your life. Most people are one idea away from being able to do anything they want. And entrepreneurship is the best way to do it. It's really the only way to build true wealth is through entrepreneurship.